Some decisions arrive before thought, not because they're small, but because they rise from a quieter place than logic, a silent inner room where your real essence lives. And strangely, the choices you make from that room often reveal more about you than any words you could use to describe yourself. Right now, in front of you, there are 4 necklaces. They're not just accessories. They're not random objects. Each one holds a symbol, an energy, a different way of relating to the world. And before your mind starts measuring details, shape, color, meaning, what it reminds you of, I want to ask you for something simple. Choose with your heart. Choose the necklace that draws you in the most, even if you can't explain why. Especially if you can't explain why. Because for thousands of years, necklaces weren't worn only for beauty. They were worn as protection, identity, and the language of the soul. A necklace is placed close to your chest, close to your heart. And what you place near your heart is rarely an accident. So if you feel pulled toward one necklace, it isn't a coincidence. It's often a reflection of your current inner state, what is most alive in you right now. And no, this isn't a test designed to trap you in a label. It's not here to define your entire personality. Think of it as an invitation to look at yourself with honesty and maybe with gentleness, to notice what your inner world has been trying to communicate beneath the noise of everyday life. Maybe you're craving stability. Maybe you're longing for emotional connection. Maybe you're searching for deeper answers. Or maybe something in you is demanding freedom and transformation. Your choice already knows, even before you're ready to admit it. So as you look at the 4 necklaces, notice which one wakes something in you. It might feel like calm. It might feel like curiosity. It might feel like safety, or even a subtle unease. Don't argue with the feeling. Don't correct it. That first pull is where the real meaning begins. And if this kind of symbolic content helps you understand yourself more clearly, I invite you to like and subscribe. That simple act supports this space, and it also keeps you connected to a journey where we explore the hidden messages of the mind and the soul. Every subscription is one more door opening inward. In the next moments, we'll reveal what each necklace represents, not as absolute truth, but as a symbolic mirror, a mirror that doesn't judge, doesn't demand, it simply shows. Because sometimes, the fastest way to understand yourself is to pay attention to what you choose without thinking. Take a slow breath in and let it out. If you've already chosen your necklace, then it's time to discover what it's saying about you. Let's begin with the first. If the necklace you chose was the first one, there's a strong chance that, in this season of your life, you're deeply connected to your inner strength. Not the loud kind of strength, not the kind that needs to prove itself, but the quiet kind, the kind that was built over time, through experiences that demanded you stay steady when everything around you felt uncertain. People who feel drawn to this necklace are often seen by others as the pillar, the reliable one, the person everyone turns to when things get messy, the one who can be counted on. And it's possible that early on you learned something very specific, that staying in control was a form of protection, that staying stable meant you could keep moving forward, even when emotionally things were complicated. This necklace represents clear boundaries. It represents structure, determination, and a deep need to feel like you're holding the steering wheel of your own life. You don't like depending on others, and even though you can work with people, maybe you're even great at teamwork, you still prefer to know exactly where things stand and exactly how far trust can go. For you, respect begins when there is order, consistency, and responsibility. Your strength is obvious. You're not someone who breaks easily. You can carry pressure. You can take on responsibility. You can keep walk even when you're exhausted, especially when someone else is counting on you. But here's the other side of it. That same strength can sometimes turn into an armor that's too heavy to wear. You may find it hard to lower your guard. You may feel that if you don't manage everything, something will fall apart. And the truth is, what defines you isn't coldness. It's a very particular way of loving. You learned that protecting yourself can also mean protecting the people you care about. You hold the line because somewhere inside you, you believe, if I stay steady, we'll survive this. But I want you to remember something important. Real strength doesn't disappear when you let someone see your softer side. It doesn't weaken. It doesn't break. It becomes more human, more balanced, more alive. This necklace tends to appear in your life when you're being asked to stand your ground, to affirm your power, your direction, your self-respect. But it also appears when life is whispering something else. You don't have to carry everything alone. Not everything needs to be held up only by you. Sometimes, allowing support is an act of courage just as great as enduring. And even though strength can be a solid foundation, it isn't the only language of the soul. Because some people aren't searching for control at all. Some are searching for connection. They feel first and think later, guided by emotion and deep sensitivity. And if a part of you is curious about that other way of living, then it's time to look at the next necklace. If the necklace that caught your attention was the second one, something inside you is very clear. You feel deeply. You don't move through life on the surface. You pick up on gestures, pauses, tone shifts, the emotions people try to hide behind, "I'm fine." For you, the world isn't understood only with the mind. It's understood with an open heart. People who choose this necklace often carry a special kind of sensitivity, not because they're weak, but because they're connected. Your emotional world is not an accessory you put on and take off. It's woven into who you are. You're the kind of person who truly shows up. You listen in a way that makes people feel seen. You care in a way that feels real. And your empathy isn't a performance. It's your natural language. This necklace symbolizes tenderness, care, and the deep need for emotional connection. For you, relationships matter. Bonds matter. You're nourished by honest conversations, by soft eyes that don't judge, by spaces where you can be yourself without masks, without having to pretend you're unaffected. And yes, that makes you beautifully human. But it can also come with a cost, because when you feel everything so clearly, you can become vulnerable to emotional exhaustion. Sometimes you give more than you receive. Sometimes you carry emotions that don't belong to you, not because you want to, but because it's difficult for you to draw the line when someone needs support. And deep inside you, there may be a question that repeats itself like a quiet habit. What if I can help just a little more? That question speaks to your kindness, but it also points to something you're being asked to learn: how to protect yourself. Your greatest strength is your capacity to love, to understand, to create safe spaces for others. People breathe easier around you. They soften around you, because your presence tells them, you don't have to pretend here. But your challenge is remembering this. Caring for yourself is not selfish. It's also love. And not every distance is coldness. Sometimes it's simply a necessary pause, a moment to refill your own inner well so you don't disappear while trying to save everyone else. This necklace tends to show up in seasons when your soul is asking for gentleness, true understanding, and authentic connection, especially when the world feels harsh or heavy. In those moments, your sensitivity becomes a refuge for you and for the people who orbit your warmth. But not everyone is meant to feel intensely all the time. Some people, after experiencing so much and feeling so much, start turning inward, quietly, not chasing emotion, but chasing meaning. If something in you recognizes that calm, introspective pull, then it's time to look at the next necklace, one that carries wisdom, intuition, and depth. If the necklace you chose was the third one, there's something in you that moves quietly, an observant mind, and a deep intuition. You don't need instant answers. You don't trust simple explanations. You would rather sit with a question, feel its weight, and let meaning reveal itself slowly, like a fog lifting in the morning. People drawn to this necklace often have a very particular relationship with their inner world. You're not satisfied with what's obvious. You want what's true. You pay attention to what's behind the words, the hidden intentions, the patterns that repeat in people's lives. While others react, you observe. While many speak, you listen. This necklace symbolizes the search for meaning. It belongs to those who have learned that real knowledge isn't always found outside, in noise and speed, in constant motion, but inside in the ongoing dialogue with yourself. You think before you act. You value silence as much as conversation. And in moments of introspection, you find clarity that other people can't access when they're rushing. Your strength is perspective. You can connect experience with intuition, logic with sensitivity. You can hold complexity without needing to force it into a neat box. That's why people may come to you for advice, even if you never call yourself a guide. There's a calm presence in you, a depth that makes others feel steadier, without you ever trying to dominate the room. But there's another side to this too. Sometimes, wisdom can lead to isolation. You may feel that few people truly understand you, or that the pace of the world is simply too fast for the way you think and feel. And in those moments, you don't retreat because you don't care. You retreat because your inner world is the only place that still feels coherent. This necklace tends to appear when life is asking you to integrate everything you've lived through. You're not in a phase of running. You're not in a phase of impulsive chasing. You're in a phase of understanding, of accepting that not everything needs to be solved immediately, that some answers arrive only when you're willing to wait. And yet, wisdom doesn't always want stillness forever. Sometimes after you've understood so much, something else begins to rise inside you, a desire to break old structures, to shed a skin, to move, to reinvent. There are souls who, after seeing the world clearly, realize they can't keep living the same way. And if you feel that restlessness beginning, like a quiet pressure under your ribs, like a call for air, then it's time to look toward the next necklace, the one that doesn't promise stability. It promises movement. If the necklace you chose was the fourth one, there's a clear truth beating inside you. You need to feel free to be yourself. You can tolerate rigid structures for a while, but not forever. Too many rules, too many expectations, too many shoulds that don't belong to you. Eventually, they start to feel heavy, like a coat that doesn't fit, but everyone insists you keep wearing. People drawn to this necklace often carry a restless spirit, not because they're unstable, but because they are in constant transformation. For you, life isn't something you watch from a distance. It's something you live, explore, and, when necessary, rebuild from the inside out. Change doesn't scare you. Staying the same for too long That can feel terrifying. This necklace symbolizes authenticity. It belongs to those who would rather be loyal to their essence than fit neatly into a role. There is a deep need in you for motion, expansion, and growth. So each chapter of your life reflects who you are now, not who you used to be. That's why, when something stops resonating with you, you can feel it immediately. And you know when it's time to let go. Your greatest strength is your courage to begin again. You adapt quickly. You learn through experience. You keep moving even when the path isn't fully clear. You trust that meaning will appear while you're walking, not before. And that trust gives you a kind of intensity that many people secretly admire. But freedom has its challenges. Sometimes it's hard for you to commit long-term, not because you don't value people or projects, but because you're afraid of losing yourself inside them. There may be an inner tension you live with, the desire for closeness, and the fear of feeling trapped. You want connection, but you also need space. You want love, but you also want breath. And the moment something starts to feel like a cage, even a beautiful one, you instinctively look for the exit. This necklace often appears when your soul is asking for air, when you're being reminded that you didn't come into the world to follow someone else's script. You came to discover your own. And remember this: transformation is not chaos, it's growth. Movement is not always running away. Sometimes it's answering a real inner call. And yet, after all of this, strength, sensitivity, wisdom, freedom, one question remains. What does your choice mean in this exact moment of your life? Because beyond the symbol you chose, there's a wider message trying to be heard. Now it's time to bring all the pieces together. Now that you know what each necklace represents, I want you to remember something essential. Your choice doesn't define who you are forever. It reflects who you are right now. Human beings aren't static. We change, we grow, we adapt. And every season of life awakens a different part of us, sometimes quietly, sometimes all at once. Maybe you chose strength because today you need to stand firm, because something in you is holding the line. Maybe you chose sensitivity because your heart is craving real connection, because you're tired of shallow spaces and you want something honest. Maybe you chose wisdom because you're in a quieter chapter, where your soul is turning inward, looking for meaning instead of noise. Or maybe you chose freedom because something inside you refuses to live the same story again, because you're ready to shed a skin and breathe as yourself. None of these choices is better than the others. Each one is a legitimate need. Each one is a message, a private conversation between you and your inner world, one that often gets drowned out by daily life. This test was never meant to give you a label. It was meant to offer you a mirror that helps you see yourself with a little more clarity and maybe with a little more compassion. And here's something else that matters. If you looked at these same 4 necklaces months from now, or years from now, you might choose a different one. That wouldn't mean you were inconsistent. It would mean you evolved. Life doesn't demand perfect coherence from us. It asks for honesty about what we truly feel in each moment. Because all of these energies live inside you. The strength that protects, the sensitivity that connects, the wisdom that understands, the freedom that transforms. What changes is which one is asking for your attention. And listening to that need can be the difference between living on autopilot and living with awareness. So before you return to your day, take one small moment. Ask yourself gently, honestly, what part of me is asking to be heard right now? What have I been ignoring out of habit or fear? What small change could bring me closer to my truth? You don't need big answers. Sometimes one well-asked question begins a quiet transformation. If this test resonated with you, I invite you to like and subscribe. Here we keep exploring the mind, emotions, and symbols that help us understand ourselves more clearly and with less judgment. Each video is another chance to look inward with calm, curiosity, and courage. Thank you for giving yourself this moment of introspection. Thank you for choosing to look beneath the surface. And remember, what you choose without thinking is often what your soul needs the most.